Hello and welcome to my home. I'm Lisa Aye. I live in Tofino, British Columbia, and today I'm going to cook you a little recipe out of my original cookbook, the first cookbook, entitled SoBo. This recipe is health in a bowl. I'm going to do this as my first video because this recipe probably means more to me than any other recipe I have ever made or written. This is a tribute to my father. My father passed away 28 years ago while he was diagnosed with cancer, and it made it very difficult to eat with chemotherapy and radiation. So I developed this soup that I thought would be extremely nutritious, yet very, very flavorful and easy on the system. So you can enjoy it just as a healthy meal, and more importantly, it's super soulful. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoy making it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to wash our red lentils. I always like to wash my rice and my lentils to get rid of any dirt and to make sure that there is no little rocks in it. So I'm going to have a little look to see if there's any tiny little pebbles, because nobody wants to bite down on that. So there we go. We're going to start with 1.5 cups of red lentils. These are incredibly nutritious. And we're just going to rinse any dust and debris that might be on it. There you go. So we're going to take these lentils and we're going to take our already prepared and strained veg stock to the stove. Bring those up to a boil. And they're going to simmer for about 15 minutes. While they're simmering, I'm going to go ahead and start chopping up the vegetables that will go into the soup. I always set a timer because sometimes things happen. The dogs need to go out, the phone rings, so the timer is my best friend. About 15 minutes depending on your stove. Okay, so the next step is prepare my leeks and dice up my zucchini. I will reserve the greens of the leeks for my veg stock later. And here's a little trick I like. Leeks are notorious for being quite dirty on the inside. A little trick that I learned at the Culinary Institute of America by Chef Fessy was to run the knife down into quarters, and then it will ribbon out. Because it's a blended soup, the shape doesn't matter. Now I can run the water nicely through that, or something else he taught me was fill a bowl or a large glass, take the leek and push it down like this, and the water will fall to the end. So I will just slice these and try to be as uniform as possible so they cook at the same rate of speed. But again, it's being blended, so you don't have to get super fussy. Now I'm going to take my zucchini. Another trick I really like when I'm cutting a round vegetable is to shave one little side off, make it flat, and then you have a better grip, and you possibly will not cut yourself. And I can lay these out. This soup is a quick soup, and if you need to, if you don't have time to make veggie stock, or you simply don't want to, there are perfectly acceptable containers of veg stock at your supermarket these days. So don't let something like that keep you from making a recipe. It's okay to take a shortcut. So to build that flavor, I will saute the leeks in the curry powder for a few minutes until they're translucent or tender before adding the other vegetables, because the vegetables will start to leach water and it will dull out that curry. I want vibrant, strong curry flavor in here. So here we go. Okay, now that my vegetables are sauteing on the stove, nice and gently, building those flavors, remember? My lentils have simmered, and now it's time to combine both of them and let them just gently simmer for another 20 minutes. Okay, while that is simmering on the stove, I'm going to make the garnish, and the garnish is used as something to cool the palate from the soup. So mint and yogurt and cilantro, very cooling. And I'm going to take about half a cup of yogurt. Choose whatever kind of yogurt you like. This is a plain yogurt made here on the island. If you haven't traveled here, boy, you sure should. It's quite herby today, but it's just the way I feel. I want a little more fresh. There we go. How fast and simple is that? So here we are. There's two ways to do this. Some slick tricks here from me. I think these days the youngsters call it hacks, but you know I'm no youngster, right? So it's called a slick trick. You can take one of these nice handy dandy immersion blenders and just start blending the soup. Or for a little bit smoother texture, this is nice and rustic, you know, blend it up. I could be done with this in another 30 seconds easy. I'm going to add this yogurt though, this nice cooling yogurt into the soup. Again, thinking about trying to get some nutrition and into the body on this. So what I'm going to do as well is another little trick. As you can, if you want a really smooth soup, pop your soup in a blender. So it's easy. Now when you're going to blend a hot soup, another slick trick here, be really mindful or the soup's going to be all over the ceiling and maybe you're going to burn your face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cloth on top, and then I am going to just simply pulse a little bit. Just like that. It will release a bit of the steam and the suction won't be so drastic that it pops the lid off. So there I am. And now I'm going to blend away. And there we are. Wow. Awesome. Love that. Okay. Another little story time with Lisa, apparently. So this bowl is actually in the cookbook. This bowl means a lot to me as well. I'm going to say 34, 35 years ago, before my father was sick, he and my mother, that's another great love story we'll probably get to at some point, but one of the greatest love stories I know. Two people that just really dug each other. One of their anniversaries, I wanted to make it very special. So what I did, I had just gotten out of cooking school and I wanted to do like a 5-star dinner for them without them having to go out in the comfort of their own home. My dad was a bit of a homebody. He loved being in his home. And my mother was a great cook, so food and being at home were two things that were very important to them. So I devised a menu that I felt that they would love, and I went out and bought plateware and cutlery for each different course. I wrote the menu up. I dressed as a chef that night, and I literally served them at their table as if they were in a 5-star restaurant. So this is tattered now because it is actually, 34 years old. That's okay. means the world to me. So I'm going to serve the soup in the bowl that I actually made a different soup with for them that night. I hadn't developed this recipe yet. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a French green lentil with shiitake mushroom. Oh, that happens to be in the first cookbook. That wasn't planned, by the way. It's just that bowl just brought that memory. So that course, that soup course, was in this bowl. I wanted to honor the soup for the cookbook shot, and I still have this bowl now. I will just put the yogurt on top. Of course, in the cookbook, it was being a little fancier.